Hi there, this is Frida from EMCsoft. Today we're going to be looking into Bitrix24 Telephony, so stay tuned and let's master Bitrix24 together. So we're going to start by heading to our contact center, and we can do that by looking for the contact center directly in the CRM, or we can just use the search icon to go ahead and search for that contact center as well. So once we are inside of our contact center, we will see a telephony feature here. So we're gonna go ahead and click that, and that's gonna open the full telephony configuration page. So here we're going to have three different options. So we have rent a number, Office PBX, and Cloud PBX. So let's talk about what each one means and how you can use each of these. So if you choose the rent a number option, so this option is going to allow you to rent a virtual number for your business from Bitrix telephony provider. Okay, so that's the rent a number option. So this is not an option that you want to use if you already have a company number that you want to keep using for your company, but now inside of Bitrix. So if that's the case, then rent a number is not going to be the option for you. If you don't mind having a new number, then definitely the rent a number option is a good option for you. Awesome. Next we have Office PBX. And we also have Cloud PBX. So basically, an Office PBX is going to be a complex electronic device that's used within a company for telephony. So for communication, it can be a physical setup inside of your office, or it can be a software on a computer, right? So with an Office PBX, the pros are that you can flexibly configure call routing and internal communication between employees, okay? So, but you will need to buy, install, and also maintain some equipment on site. So this is probably going to require you to involve technicians inside of your team or even third-party specialists for all of this connection. It's not as simple as, for example, Cloud PBX. And we'll go into Cloud PBX. It's much more simplistic than the Office PBX. So Office PBX is probably going to be the most complicated within our three different options. So basically, to use Office PBX, you'll need to purchase a number from a certain telephony provider. And if you already have a number, so basically, for example, if you already have your company number and you want to continue using that number, then you can create an account with a Cloud PBX provider of your choice. Okay, and then get the data for connection. So the data you're going to need is the server, the login and password, and this data can be requested from your PBX support team, whichever provider you decide to choose, right? And then you would go in and install and configure the PBX equipment, or your technical team would do this, and then afterwards make the connection here. So after you have all that set up, you've actually purchased either the number or connected the existing number to a provider, then you can come in and configure here your Office PBX. You'll buy the SIP connector, and you also have an option here to select the training course here so that you can learn how to use it, right? And you'll see a lot more detailed information here as well to be able to work with the Office PBX. Awesome. And additionally, you'll have 60 free minutes to be able to configure and test your outbound calls. So keep in mind that incoming calls are always going to be free with this option. Beautiful. So now we're going to talk about the Cloud PBX. So Cloud PBX is actually much more simple. Okay, so Cloud PBX is a telephony service that doesn't require any hardware installation. So it's basically hosted on the service provider servers, and the connection is going to be established via the internet. So then the call is going to be routed to the desired number. So you don't need any special skills to set up a Cloud PBX, and you can use any internet connected devices. So computers, mobile devices, etc. So no additional equipment is going to be required for the Cloud PBX. It's much more simple. And to connect your Cloud PBX, you again have to purchase a number from a particular telephony provider, or if you already have your company number, again, you would create an account with that selected Cloud PBX provider and then get the data for the connection. So server, login, and password. So very similar to this, but much more simple. Very similar to the Office PBX, but much more simple. And it would be the same. We would click here on Cloud PBX and then buy the SIP connector. Okay, and also you have those free 60 minutes, and you can additionally receive inbound calls for free via your Bitrix24 SIP. And once you have all your information from your PBX providers, then you would click here on Connect Cloud PBX, and that's going to open the window, the pop-up window, so that you can input all of the information that is required. Again, the connection name, server address, login, password, etc. Okay, then you would save this and then your connection would be established. Very good. And now we're going to talk about the third option and our personal favorite option, which is third-party applications that are basically already configured for you. And so basically there are a lot of telephony integrations for this. If we scroll down, we'll see a total of 32 telephony applications. So if I click here, I'll be able to view all of the options available for me to use for telephony. So these are already predefined integrations that can be used for telephony. Beautiful. So now we're going to talk about a particular third-party application, which is developed by us called Callcenter24. Keep in mind, this third-party application does not require PBX and does not require SIP connections. It actually integrates the Twilio platform to make and receive calls. Now, the reason that we prefer Callcenter24 and not using the SIP or PBX connectors is because with Twilio, you can actually use the same phone number for both calls and SMS. So this way your team can call, text, and follow up from one single identity, all tracked in the CRM. So that's a really important point. Also, SIP and PBX setups can work, of course, but they're usually a little more fragile. One misconfiguration or server issue and calls just completely drop. So Twilio is built to scale globally with very strong uptime and routing options. So basically, if you want a cleaner, scalable setup with calls plus SMS on a single number, Twilio is probably going to be a more powerful choice. So let's get into that. So to purchase any of the applications, you can either select here from the total apps. Okay, so if I go here, it'll take me to the marketplace, or you can search directly on the market just for Callcenter24, and that will pop up for you as well here. Okay, and you can install here from the market. This one, of course, is already installed here. And I will leave in the description of this video a guide on how to install, how Callcenter24 works, and kind of a very detailed breakdown of what you need to do to set up your Twilio account, to connect to Bitrix, and basically everything else that you need to know in regards of Callcenter24. So here I'm just going to explain how it actually works briefly for you guys, but if you want a more detailed explanation, there's another video that we have dedicated only to Callcenter24, so I'll leave that in the description as well. And also we have the full guide that I just mentioned as well, so I'll leave both of those in the description of this video. Now, before we go into how Callcenter24 actually works, also, once you have installed and configured it, it's going to pop up here in your telephony configurations page. And also here below, you'll see a configured telephony section. So here you can upload documentation. Some SIP connectors or PBX are going to ask for a particular documentation depending on the region where you're at. And also you can configure your telephony here. So if I click here and configure telephony, I will be able to open a blacklist. So I can add people to this blacklist, phone numbers here that I want to block basically, right? And also I can click here on configure telephony. If I go to voice menu, this is going to actually let me configure an IVR. Okay, so and you can add a new menu here as well. And you can configure by clicking on the three lines and just clicking edit, and then you'll be able to configure the IVR. Okay, awesome. So let's go ahead and close this guy. And you also can configure queue groups. Okay, so for example, three lines, edit, you'll be able to configure your queue. For example, if you want to distribute your calls among the Bitrix24 users in this queue group evenly or exactly as in queued, so exactly as you list your employees, that's exactly how the telephony will ring for them. Or to everybody. So the difference between evenly and everybody is evenly is going to distribute the calls fairly throughout your Bitrix24 employees. So what does that mean? For example, let's say we have John and we have Sarah, right? Our calling agents, and John's received 4 calls already today. Then the rest of the calls are going to be forwarded to Sarah until that kind of evens out. And afterwards, then more will be routed to John, right? So basically that's how evenly works. And then to everybody is basically, it's going to ring at the same time for exactly everybody, and whoever picks up first, that's the person who's going to take the call. Okay, awesome. And also voicemail you can enable here, etc. Beautiful. So we're going to close this one as well. We also have telephony users. So you'll have to configure this for each of your telephony users. So for example, let's say Emin will configure, and then if it has a certain extension for this user, you can go ahead and add it here, like +11. A number for outgoing calls, you can select the particular number. So if you rented a number or you chose an office PBX number, etc., you'll be able to select it here, and your SIP phone as well. So if it's connected or not connected. Okay, awesome. So you'll have to do that with each of your telephony users. Okay, and last but not least, we have telephony settings. So here you're gonna choose which default number you will be using for outgoing calls and which default for backup number, right? Forward calls to the backup number from, and then you can choose that number as well. If you want to redirect the call to somebody when the Bitrix account is unavailable for any reason, you can go ahead and select that here as well. Okay, and then display telephony calls in Messenger. So you can choose to either display them, so create a separate chat for each of the calls, or create one single chat for all of the calls. Okay, or you can also choose not to display those in Messenger. Okay, calls will always create leads. Okay, if you're using simple CRM, so you don't have leads, no worries, it'll just create deals for you. But you have to choose between creating a lead when receiving a call or when ending a call. Okay, so of course, if the phone number is already registered in the CRM, it won't create a new lead for you. Okay, great. So additionally, we have access permissions. So these can be very useful. So you can configure access permissions for specific users, okay, like here, or you can do for a full department. So sales, all departments and employees, and you will configure the roles on the right side. So you can add a new role, and then you can choose who can view the call statistics, call recordings, who can do outbound calls, user settings, etc. Right? So you can go ahead and change that for each user or departments, and then you can set a name for that particular role as well. So very similar to CRM access permissions. Great. So I'm going to hit cancel here. Connect phone, that's just going to take you to the documentation of what I'm explaining here. Okay, awesome. And also, we're going to look at call details and call statistics. So if we go here to call details, I'm actually going to be able to see all the calls, type of call, if it's incoming, outgoing, the employee that took or made the call, phone number that they called from, the date, what happened with the call. So if the call was skipped, taken, successful, etc. Busy, for example, down here, and also the CRM that it's connected to. So it's very, very detailed information on all the calls. And then if I go here to call statistics, I'm going to be able to see the analytics of the calls as well per employee, and how many inbound calls, outbound missed, callbacks, total calls, etc. for each of the employees. I can select, just for example, I just want to see, let's say callbacks, then I'm going to select just callbacks, or I just want to see the missed calls, or I just want to see inbound calls, and I can kind of dynamically choose that from the chart. Also, I can see, for example, missed calls. If I need to see more accurately which calls these were, I can click here on the 6, and that will take me to all of those missed calls and what happened there, right? So the CRM that's attached to the call as well. Perfect. And you can, of course, filter for a particular time frame here, or a particular employee, or Bitrix phone, etc. Okay, awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and close that. All right, so I've gone ahead and opened a CRM item to show you how the call center 24 telephony works. So you can either choose the phone number here on the left side, or you can choose the phone number icon here to make the call. So in this case, I'm just going to choose the one up top, and I'm going to choose which number I want to call. In this case, I want to call this one up here. So once I open that, I'll see the dialer window. On the left side, I can actually create a comment, I can create a deal or an invoice directly from the call, and it'll show me which number I'm calling to and which contact I'm calling to as well. Here, in my case, I only have one number assigned to my user, so that's the reason why I only see one number here. But if I had more numbers assigned, I would see a full list here and I would be able to click which phone number I want to call from. Awesome. Then I'm going to go ahead and click on this green button to make the call. It's going to start to connect. And I'm going to hear it ring, of course. I'm going to have the dial pad here. I can also mute the call. I can place the call on hold. Okay, I've placed the call on hold, for example, here. I can add more users into the call for the conference call. So I can add internal Bitrix users here. I can add somebody from the CRM, so a contact or a company deal, etc. Or I can just directly dial another number here to add into the call. Okay, awesome. And once I have finished the call, I will see the recording of the call here. I can click play. On hold. Okay. And that will actually show me the full recording of the call. And I can also see the call transcription here. It's all going to be stored inside of the CRM. Okay. And I will also be able to see it inside of my Twilio Call Center 24 chatbot. So if I click here on my Twilio Call Center 24 bot, I'll be able to see the summary of the call. So the outgoing call report, the phone number that I called, the agent number, the person responsible for the call, the link to the contact. So if I click here, it'll open up the contact again and it'll show me a call summary. So with the main topic and the key points of the call, and also the call transcription and the call recording here as well. So as you can see, Bitrix Telephony can be very easy to use, especially if you have excellent third-party applications like ours for Call Center 24. So if I click here on the Call Center 24, it'll take me to the settings page, and there's a lot of things that you can configure here. So there's IVR, right? So for example, if I click here on telephony, I have IVR, voicemail, on hold message, welcome message, waiting music, etc. We can actually add all of this into our telephony, and we can configure our license for calls. We can select which phone numbers we want to use to make calls and to receive calls, right? And we also have the option to forward the call to somebody else if we want here. We can write another number and it'll forward out to someone, okay? Down here, and then this would be the time in seconds. So maybe you want it to ring for 10 seconds before it forwards to the number that you put down here. And you can also delay before showing call on screen. So let's say, for example, both me and my colleague Leslie have the same phone number, but maybe I want Leslie to receive the calls before I do. So then I will actually put here maybe 15 seconds. So if she doesn't answer in 15 seconds, then the call will show up on my screen and I can answer the call on my side. Also, you can choose to enable or disable the call transcription. So if that's not too important for you, then you don't need to be paying for it. You can uncheck this box. Same with the call recordings as well. And there are many other features here for Call Center 24. It's very easy to see your billing information. So you click here on your billing tab and you'll be able to see your current month estimated costs. And also you'll be able to see a chart of those analytics and invoice history here, where you'll be able to see the period, total, status, and actions for that invoice, right? So you can download the invoice from here. In this case, since this is our own portal, well, of course, we don't have any invoices for that. Okay, beautiful. And as I had mentioned before, you can also SMS from the same number that you're actually using for calls. So that's going to give you more credibility with your clients, okay, which is the most important thing. So you can set up your SMS license. You only need one SMS license for all users, or you can uncheck this box and select particular responsible people for SMS. So maybe you don't want everybody to be able to use SMS. You can do that by adding particular responsible people. Okay, but in this case, we're actually going to use the number for everyone. So that's it, my friends. It's very easy to use. Again, you can rent a number here. You can select your country, okay, and make sure they have availability for your country, and you'll be able to see the options for phone numbers to rent. Okay, so you can actually select the type of number as well, so mobile, toll-free, local, etc., and then just choose your state, like for example, Florida, region, let's say Fort Myers, and then it'll ask you to upload the verification documentation. So you'll click here, and that'll take you to upload that information. Okay, so again, this is going to be how you rent a number. Okay, beautiful. All right, and that basically concludes our video for today. This is Bitrix Telephony, and let us know if you have any questions or comments. We'll be happy to help you install and give you a free demo for Call Center 24 if you're interested. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give us a like, subscribe, and leave us a comment with your questions. We'll be happy to answer. Thank you, and bye-bye.